And look at Randy Orton slithering.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! KO! Here's the cover.
Hey, what's up guys, and we're back here today with another video. This time we're looking at one of the reward tanks for the first time of this season, the TL1 LPC, or the Stone Cold, whatever, I'm not gonna call it that, but the TL1 is, this tank's a beast, honestly. I'm just gonna put that right out there, that this tank is really good. Everybody that's played it so far that I've talked to agrees this thing is just an animal at tier 8, and this is the one you get I think at the end of it, so look forward to getting this thing. And it actually comes with 2 packages. One's a 2-shot autoloader, which is the one we're going to be rocking, and that's the one I'd highly recommend you run as well. And there's also a single shotgun, and I really shouldn't run the single shot. The only thing the single shot really offers, and I'm just going to get this out of the way, is some improvements in like gun handling. So it has better aim time at 2.3 seconds, and the accuracy is 0.38. But actually the rate of fire for the rounds a minute is actually less than the autoloader. So I really don't recommend using that. Everybody that's tried that as well and that I've talked to has said don't bother. Simply put, it's not worth it. And yeah, I can pretty much tell you don't use the single shotgun on this thing, preferably, I would say. But what are you looking at with this? Obviously it's an American tier 8 premium medium tank. It's similar to all like the patent variants that you see a lot of. An exception though is you can see we're getting some pretty high damage rolls, and that's something that I didn't know about this tank prior to actually getting it in my garage. We were talking to Swindle about it, I think. Is that this gun and the single shot, but for this purposes, I'm talking about the autoloader from now on, both have 280 alpha, which doesn't sound like a big step up from the usual 90mm stuff where it's 240, usually for American tanks like this. But it definitely is. 280 alpha means you I don't want to say regularly, but you will roll over 300 like that. And the inner clip is disgustingly good on the autoloader, that you basically dump 280 alpha shells very quickly into somebody. And the reload is only just shy of 16 seconds once fully kitted out. Does mean you can find yourself in sticky situations occasionally, as you put 2 into the KV2 there, such as this. Against this Absolution, we're reloading for a bit, but again, the DPM wouldn't be enough even to save us in the other with the single shot and consistently here. So yeah, and something you can see here is just, even with, you get a terrible roll there of 214, is the armor on this thing does lack. It's not very well armored, so it's more of a paper medium to an extent. It has some armor. It goes up to, I think it's 177mm on the turret face, which most tanks have over that, even with the curvature of the turret here. So kind of keep that in mind when you're playing this thing, that you really don't want to get shot too often by anything that has equal tier or higher. Definitely, you probably won't bounce it. But if you can just stay in that kind of supporting role, this thing is just a beast. As you can see, we're already racking up the damage, already at 2,700 so far on this game on Abby. But again, look into the stats a little bit more here. With the terms of the gun, 6.27 rounds a minute. That's base stock right out of the garage. I already said the 280 alpha on this thing is very nice, very niche kind of alpha damage. It's unique. The AP rounds come at 208mm of penetration, and then something that's also very nice and pretty disgusting at tier 8 is the heat rounds on this thing have a whopping 280mm of pen on the heat rounds, which is more even than the SCSA 2 that has 275. So honestly, this thing is more than capable in tier 10 games of still going right through the front of tier 10 heavies if you know where to aim. You can even pen such like the E100 right through the starter plate, or even possibly through the turret, maybe, if you get a high pen roll. So yeah, that's a big benefit. The negative of the autoloader, and in situations like this where I'm so close, it doesn't matter. It's super 47 meters away. There's like no possible way to actually miss that shot. The aim time on the autoloader is 2.6 seconds, which is actually surprising to me now I'm looking at it. It doesn't ever feel like it's that long, personally. And then the accuracy is 0.4, which I do feel, or I have felt at range in this thing. But if we're pretty close range like this, not really aiming at weak spots, it's no big deal. But very, very, very solid vehicle. View range at 400 meters. The silver making potential of the thing isn't fantastic. It's only, I got a 50% silver multiplier on it, which is pretty meh, I gotta be honest. But that's okay. The tank itself is actually very, very good, as the VK30201P on our team decides to just jump off the cliff and end his life. And we're just trying to get some extra damage here to finish this game off. The Black Prince is obviously more healthy than the STG was, so we're pushing towards him. Just hoping he doesn't pop over the ridge line and decide to shoot me. So that's this tank in a nutshell. Engine power is decent too. Traverse speed is very, very good. Also, it turns on a dime, even in place. But like I said, it's pretty much a paper medium. You definitely want to be rocking this autoloader because it is just disgusting. Put one shot in and another shot, and you see it's literally a second, I think, between the inner clip, which is just so good. For a tank like this. But kind of jumping off of that, again, equipment on this thing at this point is optics. I believe it's vert stabs. Yes, vert stabs, and then improved vents for me. If something else works for you, go for it. As you see, we picked up just shy of 5,600 damage, 3 kills, and 1,900 base XP on a map that is not very friendly to this tank at all. And yeah, it still just dishes out the damage. That was a very quick game as well. That was only like a 6-minute game. So the potential to have massive results in this thing are definitely there. I'd compare it to tanks such as like even the Ragnarok, to be fair. I've never played the Ragnarok myself, but I can definitely see the comparison there a little bit in terms of just the capability of this thing. And we're going to meet at Ragnarok this game, actually. But this one's more accessible for everyone to have because Ragnarok has been on sale since forever. So this thing is a better alternative, and much better alternative than the other tank that just came out, the General or the Skoda T27 that I did a review on last week. That I said was similar to that, but this tank is more similar to that, even in regards to the alpha damage for 280 versus the 320 on the Ragnarok. But this thing's better than the General by far. It's not even like a contest. So if you're looking for an autoloader tier 8 prem, this is the one to go for, I would say, at least right now, especially since you can earn it for free. It's definitely worth it, definitely worth the grind. Other thing about the stats, something that's also unique, max speed again is 50 kph on this thing, and as you can see right now, it gets close to that even on flat ground. Doesn't really have an issue accelerating too much. And look at another kind of unique thing about this tank is here, just wreck that Firefly, is the ammunition. Actually, I already talked about it has the penetration values, stuff like that, but the AP only has 900 shell velocity, but the heat rounds actually have over 1,200, which is actually kind of surprising for heat rounds. They're usually sluggish and slower than the AP rounds, generally speaking, at least my experience playing this game. But that's not the case for this thing. The heat rounds actually have really good shell velocity, and talk about that later, I guess, and situations you could use that for. But that's mostly about the tank. Probably going to jump into the gameplay of this game right here, as we're using the bushes very well here, and just making good use of the camo, even on a relatively not say small tank like this, to just put shots into these guys as they come down. And this video is a little different than the Skoda one, where I kind of showcased 2 tier 10 games in that tank. This one's been 2 top tier games, and it's not bad. I mean, obviously it doesn't showcase the wide variety of games you're going to have and the worst case scenario and how the tank performs in that. Those kind of games, I guess. But just take my word for it, this thing is going to do fine in Tier 10 games, and I've already had a couple decent results in Tier 10 games. Nothing I'd probably record, but very, very solid games. As this Oni pulls around the corner, we tried to put another one blind, does not go in. Again, 208 pen is good, but to go through an Oni blind, it's kind of asking them much. As we load up the heat rounds at 280 millimeters of pen, and these are just going to butcher this poor guy. You can see his entire tank's red. Put one in, put two in, and yeah, there we go. Also confirming that the inner clip there is 1.13 seconds, which is disgustingly good. You don't have to wait around basically to dump your shots. You can just go click, click, and just go back and reload. And I like the two-shot autoloader. It's kind of unique. I don't know of another tank that actually has that. Somebody wants to write that in the comments, another tank that has a two-shot autoloader. I'd love to hear it. One doesn't spring to mind immediately, for me at least. But this thing, I definitely like it because it provides that extra punch, but you're not out of the fight for a super, super long time. As you see in these couple of games, you've already seen that. It's got a 15-second reload, so really you're driving a medium tank that has the alpha of, see the quick match, just shy of 600, which is pretty good. So we just totally abolished the already there, and now we have the side shot on the AFK Jagdpanzer, but he just gets obliterated by artillery. Could just ram this guy probably, and not waste a shell, but we're just gonna waste a shell anyways because that's what we do apparently. And I did see a tracer fly at me from up here, and I actually thought it was the TD, one of the TDs, but they're actually both spotted right now. So as I'm pushing up here, I was kind of trying to figure out what was up here still, and it's actually the Tier 7 Italian. Put one in that doesn't do any damage, and we bounced his first return shot. Again, you can get some bounces out of the armor against lower tier stuff. It can happen. As you bounce another one, again, if they're auto aiming and hit the upper plate, which is fairly well angled, you can get some bounces, which is nice. Put one into him, get a little ram, make it so he gets shot by our buddy in the Diamondback, who's helped us on this flank tremendously. I haven't talked much about the gameplay at all. It was kind of aggressive going to that flank to start with, but I felt like in this top tier matchmaking kind of game where we are pretty dominant tank in this matchup, that even with only me and basically a Diamondback against that flank, that's a pretty good matchup, especially with that position I took initially in this game. And him just pushing right up that line with all his armor, I was able to basically provide support and just put my two shots into them every 15 seconds. So, thought it was a good idea. It worked pretty well. And now we're kind of in a mop-up phase, at least hypothetically. They only have 4 tanks left. Their 2 heavies are pushing in pretty hard. I basically thought at this point they're dead. Don't really want to worry about them, so instead I'm going to go after the Ragnarok, I believe, and the LTTB, but they have actually gone back to our base, or their base, I suppose, to deal with the Diamondback, who was capping. So unfortunately, we actually end up leaving that guy by himself, which kind of sucks, because he was helping us earlier, and they just went the totally different direction, which it happens. So we put one into this guy, but our teammate blocks us, and unfortunately we can't get the second shot. He doesn't really know. A little annoyed at that, but it's what can you do? That's fine. It's going to just let us reload, and then we should be able to put 2 shots into the Ragnarok, and maybe even use a little bit of our weight to finish him off, because we can't actually finish this guy off with 1 clip. So we're going to have to use the momentum of our tank. And no, he's not going to move anywhere. He bounces one, we put another one in and ram him and take him out of the game for our 5th kill. And now we're sitting at 700 hit points out of our 1400, so about half health. The LTTB was actually full health at this point, so I'm kind of trying not to be super aggressive here as he takes out our STG, and at this point I really don't have any support, and he's full health. So this is actually a pretty tricky scenario. I don't want to go straight in on him because I don't have the alpha damage necessarily to clip him out at all. And he could easily kill me within the time it takes me to reload. So at this point, kind of want to take it semi-cautiously. I get the spot on him, and it doesn't look like he's being super aggressive. So at this point, I kind of am going to take a gamble, see if I can't push up. I'm also taking note right now that there is the corpse of our Diamondback friend there, who I can possibly use as cover if the situation arises. Unfortunately, this thing's so tall, it hits the cupola, I guess. The LTTB spots us. We have to free aim because only 900 meters shell velocity means we can't RBRT unless he's straight on like that, sitting still. Otherwise, it will miss. He misses because of the poor gun depression. Again, I'm using the Diamondback, like I said, as cover while I reload, just kind of dancing around this guy. He misses again. He's playing not too bad. He's actually using the handbrake and such. We have to free him again, put one in. He goes airborne, hits us. We RBRT like we said we shouldn't. And sure enough, we miss. And at this point, again, just using the Diamondback as cover to get our reload off. And he's running away at this point. I kind of want a top gun. We're on 5 kills, so always have to pick up the top gun. And here, trying to RBRT when he goes forward. Missed the second one that's actually aimed. And in that situation, maybe looting the heat would have been better. For that extra 300 meters of shell velocity, especially that first shot, that last clip, that may have hit with the heat rounds at 1200 meters per second. Maybe not, who knows. I'm not going to go back and test it, but that would be a case where the heat rounds are beneficial not just for their penetration, but also the increased shell velocity as well. So, throwing that out there, I guess. But this game's pretty much coming to a close. We're trying not to let this guy have any chance of clutching this. I'm playing it fairly cautiously. I don't want to just rush in. I see a lot of people, personally, I'm on the other end of this, throwing games because they just rush and throw their tanks away, being overconfident. You saw that in the Skoda video last week. And just taking this kind of nice and fairly relaxed here. Nice and easy and chill and not going too far forward. As I say that, I'm heading right into a ditch. But I have a fairly good idea of where I thought he was going to be at, and I thought he was going to be up to my right. He's actually to my left. He is a one-shot at this point, so I'm a little more comfortable here because I can actually eat a shot from him. He cannot eat a shot from me unless it bounces, which is possible because I play the LTTB a lot, and it has wonderful armor for a light tank, especially at tier 8. But this time we're just playing like Ring Around the Rosie, and a reverse direction on him. He's backing up at this point. I go up the ridgeline, and we finish him off for our 6th kill and the top gun. So, very, very nice game on Arctic region there, even with the bad spawns. This is honestly an excellent tank. If you don't have it yet, look forward to it as you pick up 2200 base, 6 kills, a top gun, 5800 damage in that top tier game. Making great use of the matchmaking to have a fantastic result and a truly fantastic tank, regardless of the skin or anything like that. Not talking about WWE stuff, but just as a tank, this is a fantastic tank and you should look forward to it. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you next time. See you. Peace.